Good morning or afternoon or evening, whatever time of day it is when you're watching this. I am Andi the Knittress, and this is my little corner of the internet where I like to share all the things I do crafty, mostly fiber yarn related. And thank you for popping in to check me out. So this is episode 14 and it is March 23rd, 2020. Lots of stuff going on right now. We're staying safe and staying home. It's not much different for me than usual. So let's just jump right in and show what I've got. We've got new pet. Her name is Artemis. We rescued her. She's a corgi mix. Up. She's a corgi mix. She's still kind of shy around people. She doesn't let me pick her up yet, but she really does love me. And she's like basically my shadow. So that's the little lady right there. She's it's unknown how old she is. They're guessing she's about a year old. She's the quietest dog. I don't even know what her bark sounds like. She's just so behaved. She goes potty outside. She's had minimal accidents inside since we got her. And I just don't know how anybody could have gotten rid of her. She's just so lovable. Side note, I didn't get pets for many years because I had a Chihuahua growing up for most of my life. From the time I was a little girl, maybe 3 or 4, until I was in my early 20s. And she was my dog, and she passed away. It kind of broke my heart. So we really haven't had any pets since then. Had the occasional cat. But nothing, you know, where I opened my heart. And that little lady right there, she's melted the icicle that was in there, and my kids just love her, and she's awesome. So, on to the knitting content. Well, crochet first. So I finished my Lost in Time shawl, and it is glorious. I love it so much. I get so many compliments on it. I have worn it just about every day since I made it. It's so cuddly. It's my favorite. It's blocked out super soft. I have all this rainbow of color. I just love it. I'm so glad that Chevyrell did hers with her advent, or I would have never paid attention to this. I love it. And Scarlet loves it a ton too, because she said, "Mom, can you make me one just like that, but you know, without all the boring colors?" I see no boring colors. But apparently from here to about here is boring colors. She wanted just a solid rainbow. So I went stash digging, and I had, oh, that is a bunch of minis. I talked about it last time. Well, I went stash digging, and I found I had like a mandala sparkle in there, and it was a rainbow. So I said, oh, there we go. So, but I only had one, and that took it to about the orange there, and it was still a little too small for her. So I went to Walmart to try and get another one, and they didn't have any of the same colorways. So I got this other pastel sparkle, and it flows really nicely, and she absolutely loves it, and she has worn it a ton, and she's showing it off, and she's really learning to appreciate her handmade items from her mom. So that is another Lost in Time shawl. It's crocheted in Lion Brand Mandala. I think I went up a couple of hook sizes for it. I don't remember, but if you're really interested, I did post it on my Ravelry projects page. So there's that. And it's just so cute. I love this pattern with all the textured details, and then, you know, it's so fun. And another thing that I finished was I did the pockets for my Hearth sweater. I ended up going against, as much as I wanted to sew in pockets with material, I'm just still so afraid to just my sewing machine to my knitting. I don't know, I'm not the best sewist. So I knitted a panel and seamed it down to the inside. It's not extremely noticeable. Well, I mean, it's noticeable, but it's not like super thick doubled over like a double pocket. So I just knitted one panel, and then the placement of the pocket, I went all the way to the button bands. I love these pockets. When I put this on, and it's a little warm now, or I put it on, but when I put this on, I just get that big, cozy, set your hand in, relaxed pocket. It's pretty nice. I really do like it. So I did that, and not sorry. I need to stop apologizing for everything. Anyway, so then I made my husband the Alaska hat. And I did this out of, this is Knit Picks palette. I leftover yarn I had from a sweater I did. And then I had this Knit Picks, oh, what is this called? I know the color is called Lakewood. And I can't remember. I'm not gonna beat myself over trying to remember. It's the yarn that they called for, I do believe, in this hat pattern, on which I happen to have a skein of. It's a really nice gradient. I kind of love the look of that there. Like the sun's coming up, or I don't know. It's just gorgeous. So, and I had enough of this skein left over to where I could make a whole nother one of these. It didn't use hardly any at all. All of the information is on my Ravelry page. I may not have updated the yardage on this yet, but I will when I go to make a second one, because I want one for myself. But this is really cute, and I just love it. And funny story is this, I told my husband, I said, I need that hat. Don't take that hat, because I need to show it on my podcast. And then this morning I'm setting everything up, getting ready to film, and I can't find this hat anywhere. So I called him, and I'm like, hey babe, where's the Alaska hat? It's in my car. Yeah. So he ran home real quick, because he had left early for work, and brought it back to me, because he's awesome. And I said, I need knitting content to show people. But, you know, I would have just told you guys to check out my Ravelry page. Oh, completely forgot. I have more knitting content I didn't grab. It's okay, baby girl. I am in my comfy leggings and ripped up t-shirts, so, you know, it's my wardrobe all the time anyway. So I finished these socks for my husband. These I cast on sometime last year. These are the Apollo socks by, did I put the book away? I did not. It's right there. Woohoo! It was a pattern that came in my Yarniverse Yarn Crush box that I got last year. I tried for a little while, and it is Apollo Socks by Melinda Meeser, and it's just a, you know, just a little, I don't know, broken rib, broken seed stitch, something, just a little bit of detail there. This yarn is by Blazing Fibers. It's Pineapple Express. I really love this colorway. And of course, you know, his feet are way too big for my large sock blockers. Does anybody make extra large sock blockers? That I need to know that. Like, but I am fond of the wire ones. I don't know. I also have never used any of the wooden ones, so I actually don't know. But so I finished that pair for him, and these had been on the needle since last year. I just was going through my stash, reorganizing things, and was like, oh, these are almost done. Like, I was all the way to right about the heel, and I think that I realized I was a little bit past the heel, so I ended up doing an afterthought heel on that after I had finished the afterthought heel on these. These are mine. This is just a vanilla sock, and this is unique yarn, unique earth socks, unique. And I know that if you do hashtag knit one, plant one, they plant a tree. Came in a little box. It was 2 balls and they're matching socks. They said they're matching socks. The yarns didn't line up quite right. And I started them like at the same, I had the same length of tail for both of them. And I knit them 2 at a time. And you can see they were just a little bit off. Next time I'll have to pay attention to the color striping in the beginning. Before I start knitting them. I did pay attention in the heel where the colors were, snipped the yarn and started them at the same time so I could do the afterthought heel. You know, I waited so long to try the afterthought heel because I was kind of nervous about the fit. And I was nervous about, I wasn't really nervous about cutting the yarn because I've steeked a sweater before and that's not a big deal. I know that, you know, it can be fine. I think I was really nervous about maybe picking up the proper row. I didn't really want to use waste yarn, and I watched a video that I just, you know, Googled and then clicked on a YouTube video, and it was Kirby Werby, and it was, you know, afterthought heels without waste yarn. And she's just like, you just pick the row up above your place marker and below your place marker, you snip the row in between, unravel it back about 4 stitches to the end, so that you're leaving 4 stitches on each side that were still knit with the yarn that you just unraveled. And then you knit all of those stitches, and it kind of gives you like a reinforced little spot there where you would generally have a hole. So I don't know if you can tell at all, but it's knit from the sock and then the heel. There's 4 stitches on each side that are knit twice essentially, and it just gives you a really nice, there's no gap, there's no hole. I wove in my ends. I can speak sometimes. And I really like it, and they fit. So I was worried because I have a really tall instep that they might not fit, so I knit a few rows solid before I started the decrease here, and that gave me the extra, you know, 1/4 of an inch that I needed in the instep. So I'm really happy with those. So I guess I have quite a bit of knitting content for this month. Oh, I did also knit a whole sock head hat, but I don't have it because I mailed it to Chevyrell, Chevis of the Chevyrell Stuff podcast, because if you watch her, or if you don't, you should go watch her. She was talking about in a couple of different episodes, she had mentioned about a Mrs. Babs deep sea jellyfish sock head hat that she had. She was 4-wheeling, and she lost it, and some critters are sleeping in it somewhere. So I came across a Mrs. Babs deep sea jellyfish in somebody's D-stash, and I snagged it up, and it was a really good deal, and I decided to knit her a sockhead hat to replace her other one. And so I sent that to her, and if you check out her latest podcast, she shows it there at the end. She's really happy with it. It was a big surprise for her. I just felt like the universe was telling me I needed to do that because I had looked up that color to see what color it was, because I was curious as to what deep sea jellyfish color was, and then there it was. Everybody's in on the Ravelry yarn stash said not for sale, not for sale, not for sale, and then there was one that was like for sale, and I was like, oh, and that's a good price. So I just had to knit it for her. So I knit an entire sockhead hat, did the full 9 inches, and I mailed that off to her, and she got that the other day. So I'm really happy that she liked that. And that's it for finished objects. I have many whips, and I don't work on all of them all the time. I try to, focus on something for a little while, like I did with these socks. Both of these socks were on the needles last year. These actually I cast on last year on St. Patrick's Day, and I finished them this year on St. Patrick's Day. So this took me a whole year. Not because it took me a whole year, just because I never picked them up. So, and then once they caught my focus again, it was like, okay, I will do that. So lots of things have my focus lately. One of the things that has my focus is I have been working on using up some of my scraps. So I made a sunburst. I took a bunch of my scraps. Now these were left over from my boho shawl that I showed before. I think I showed it to you guys. I probably did. So I've been working on like a sunburst granny square. So I did all the circles that go in the sunburst out of scrap yarn that I had. I was gonna originally make a sunburst granny square bag, and I didn't think that this is worsted yarn with a big needle, and the end size would be 10 inches, which is a little bit big for a bag, because I would have needed 13 of these, and it would have been too wide, too tall. That's a really big bag, and then it would eventually stretch out. So one of my coworkers suggested, why don't you make a blanket? It looks like stained glass. It's gorgeous. So this gray is Cascade 220 non-superwash, and it's leftover yarn I had from when I made Bobby's sweater. So I had about 2 skeins of this left because I overbought for his sweater. And so I'm working on those. This one's in progress, but I'm not gonna have enough because I ended up with 20. I can do 7 by 4, so that's 28. Yeah, pretty sure that's 28. You can do 7 squares by 4 squares, so just like a little lap blanket or couch blanket. Yeah, that's where that comes from. So I'm not going to have enough of the gray to go around all of these. So I popped into my work, and which I work at my local yarn store, and right now we're struggling a little, we'll make it to the other side of this, but if anybody has the means, support your local yarn stores. They have overhead. They already have the yarn. I support indie dyers as well. The people that do that for a living. But yarn stores have employees and they have overhead and rent and just if you have the means, don't. If you have no means, then don't. Anyway, so I popped in and I picked up a light gray because they were all out of the charcoal because I had bought them out of it previously. So I got a light heathered gray, and I bought them out of this also, so hopefully I have enough to go around all of those. So I'll mix in a few of the dark colored squares and then the light colored squares, and I'm gonna stitch together a blanket that'll be nice and super cozy and gorgeous, and I'm really excited about that. So that's had knit. I keep saying knit, and I really mean crochet. And if somebody were to comment on like my shawl when I was wearing it, oh, that's a beautiful knit piece, I would probably correct them and say crochet. But I am a knitter but most of the time, so I always mess up and I'm like, oh yeah, I just knit this. I knit this blanket, I knit this granny square, I crocheted it, crochet, crochet, crochet. And I don't edit my videos, so I'm not gonna go back and correct myself every time I mess up. Anyway, I am really excited. I just love all these colors, like they're just so bright. This yarn is Fairy Tale Knits, and it's Targy. I think these ones might be Targy Silk, and these ones are just Targy. So we have Zombie, Vader's Underwear, Nasty Nelly, this one is Hello Sweetie, and I cannot, Void Stuff. This one is called Void Stuff. Oh, I remembered everything. I have the worst memory, so I usually forget that kind of stuff. Yeah, so that's Fairy Tale Knits yarn, and I love her names, and that is all in my bag that I got from Anomalous Mind, and it has tarot card print on it. I got this bag because I got one for Chevyrell and I needed one for myself. So, oh, I hear my little girl awake, and if she wants to pop on here for a second, she's more than welcome, but you gotta run a brush through your hair, girl. So I am working on a pair of vanilla socks, and this yarn, I love this yarn. Oh, I just love these little flashes. I don't know. Little strips, blips, I don't know what they're called. If you know the technical, I know it's not pooling because it's not like a big pool of color. And it's not striped because, you know, it doesn't go all the way around, but these little blips of electric green and on the black, and this totally reminds me of, like, you know, the 80s with the neon and the black, and I'm going to enter this in the 80s Mal that I think it's Shadows and Pearls and Chevyrell, and there's another one who I just found out is also doing that make along, and I don't remember because I haven't watched her videos yet because I just found out. Anyway, my shirt says made in the 80s because I was made in the 80s, and I was all about the electric neon colors and, you know, the contrast. I was like a big like Cyndi Lauper fan, and I had like Rainbow Bright, and yeah. So I'm going to enter these in that make along because neons. So I'm using I got some ChowGoo. I got the ChowGoo minis and the ChowGoo shorty set, which come with tiny cables and tiny needles. These ones are like 2-inch needles, and it comes with a 2-inch and a 3-inch in the set of each size. I think I got like 0 to 3, and then I also have the other size, the other set, which is 4 to 8, 4 to 9. something like that. But I usually do my socks 2 at a time because I don't think that I'll finish a sock the second time around. I get bored with stuff really easily. So we'll see. I did this yesterday. Yesterday during the day I did this much, and this is for my husband. So he's got massive feet, and I'm gonna do an afterthought heel in this. So I think, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, the heel will be right about here. So we like to do shorty socks, so I'll go about 4 more. 4 more. You have no idea what I'm talking about. I put the markers every 10 stitches. So I'll go about 40 more rows, and then I'll bind off. So that's almost a whole sock, because, you know, we do short ones. It's almost a whole sock in a day on these needles. I usually do magic loop 2 at a time, and I have knit a pair of socks in a couple of days. So, I mean, maybe it's faster, maybe it's not. I don't know. Oh, somebody messed with my sign. My S's are messed up. That's backwards to me. I wonder if it'll be backwards for you guys. So this is, I don't know if I said the yarn. I'm rambling. This is Blazing Fibers. Blazing Fibers. Can't see it, the stickers over it. But it's a superwash merino nylon, and the color is biodiesel. And she's out of Hillsboro, Oregon. So I like to buy yarn, you know, local to my state. So I did start these 2 at a time because it's hard to start the toe on these little things. So I started them 2 at a time on, you know, 40-inch magic loop, and so I already have the toe of this one done, and we'll see how far I get on these today, and if I can keep steam with them. I don't know. I might switch back to 2 at a time. I do love having a whole pair of socks done at the same time. But this does seem like faster than more than I would have gotten done. And technically it is, because I probably would have gotten 2 pairs of socks this high versus 1 this high. So I don't know, it's probably about the same. It's just everybody has their preference. My best friend Haley, I convinced her to try 2 at a time, and her and I were messaging last night, and she's like, yeah, I don't think I'm gonna do that again. I'm gonna go back to my single sock. And I said, I'll trade you. You finish my single socks and I will knit your 2 at a time. So the other thing that I am working on is the Telja, and it's an Icelandic circular yoke sweater by Jennifer Steingas. And so my grandmother messaged me. She sent me a screenshot of an Icelandic cardigan, and she's like, Andy, can you make this for me? And I'm like, yes, Grandma, I can. What, you know, like, does it have to be that one? It was just a picture. And I couldn't figure out which one it was. So then I sent her, you know, a customized Ravelry link of a few different sweaters that I could do for her, and told her to pick one. And she picked this one, and I'm going to steek it. I will make it into a cardigan. And so she, you know, she's like, I'll buy the yarn, and if you just knit it for me, and I don't need it till next winter. And she lives on the East Coast, and you know, yarn is pricey, and I didn't, you know, and because I'm steeking it, I wanted there to be some sort of wool content, you know. And my grandmother is a wonderful sewist, and I make all these cute little sweaters, and I want to make some crop sweaters to wear with cute dresses. And I really love the Hinterland dress by So Liberated. And I said, Grandma, you make me that dress, and I will make you this sweater. Even trades. So this is a bottom-up sweater, and I have started it. You start with the sleeves. So this is her main color, and all of this yarn is knitted wit, and they're worsted. And so we have Ghostly, and we have Periwinkle, and we have Amazonite, and Violet, and Sterling Silver. So she wanted hers to have like a peacock look to it, because those are totally her colors. So I've started the sleeves. This is a really fun knit, and I am loving just this little blips of colors that'll be down at the sleeve. It'll look just like this at the base of the sweater, and then it'll go up into the other color work. So that'll be fun to show the progress of that. And that's all I have. I hope this video works, because I just got a little message said something about the video size. I don't know. Well, I got cut off there. But anyway, as I was saying, I think that I'm gonna get cut off. So I just wanted to tell you guys to stay safe and wash your hands. And Scarlet wanted to pop in here and show her finished object. It's her first finished object. And go ahead, show it off. Do you want to tell them about it? Tell them what it is?
It's a little blanket for my baby doll.
She made her baby a little blankie. And I think for a first little girl's project, she did absolutely wonderful. You can see, let's see, which way did we go? In the beginning, Mommy helped her no, this way. It went this way. So in the beginning, Mommy helped her cast on, and she had very loose gauge for a long while, and then she got a lot better. She had a few drop stitches that we looped up. Some of them didn't get looped up, so we have a couple of extra little yarn like slip stitches back there. But I think that she did so well. You can see her progress over the years. She's been working on this for about a year. So her progress has gotten wonderful. She used to be very, very loose, and then she got some good gauge in there, like good tension. So she's so proud of that, and she weaved in her end, and she's just really proud of her baby blanket, aren't you? Mm-hmm. There you go. So if you're new here, thanks for checking me out. Like and subscribe would be cool. And if you're returning, thank you for coming back, and everybody just take it one stitch at a time.